गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतानः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनं श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Om. Dear friends, we are now reading this Viveka Chudamani. We are now say in the 72nd shloka. In the last class we read up to 71st shloka. We have to now start this 72nd shloka. So the context is the student has asked what all has to be asked, and then the teacher appreciated the student for having posed a very, very intelligent question, a very concise question. Sutra prayah nigudhartha. He praised that question, he appreciated. You have asked in such an aphoristic manner. Nigudhartha, full of meaning, pregnant with meaning. So that is what he said. And then in 71st shloka we saw yad bodhavyam tavedanim atmanatma vivechanam. Now I am going to tell you this atma anatma vivechanam, the discrimination between what is your real self and what is not your real self. So this is the basic analysis in Vedanta. Atma anatma. We find these two words called atma and anatma. Atma is what is the self and anatma is what is not the self. So the notion of I, where exactly is it arising in a person? The notion of I, we think it is a mind, but Vedanta says this mind also is something which has been illumined by that consciousness, and that it is that consciousness which is having that notion of I. It is in that consciousness that we have this notion of I. So the real nature is that consciousness alone, and from that you can distinguish, you can separate, you can discriminate the body-mind complex, just as you can discriminate, just as you can distinguish your house, your wife, your property, your children, etc. They are yours, no doubt. They are mine, no doubt. But then they are not me. So similarly, the body-mind complex also can be dissociated from the pure consciousness, which is that self. The real self is that, say, the pure consciousness. All other things they are merely illumined by the consciousness. They are appearances in that consciousness. They are manifestations in that consciousness. That is the Vedanta doctrine. So he is now going to examine. So in the last shloka he said, Tad uchyate maya samyak shrutva atmanyavadharaya. So I am going to tell you, you please meditate, you please contemplate on that. Atmani avadharaya. You understand for yourself. You investigate. Let us inquire together. So it is in that spirit. Sahana bhavatu sahana bhunaktu. In that spirit. So let us inquire together. I am going this. You please, what I am saying. You think on that. You deliberate on that, and then you avadharaya. Avadharana means firmly grasp it in your mind. So that is what he said. So now we have to read this shloka number 72. I will read. Majja sthimedah palarakta charma tvagahvayer dhatubhirebhiranvitam padoru vaksho bhuja prushtamastakaihi angairupa-angairupa-yuktametat. So he is now describing the gross body. The gross body, which is an assemblage of so many things. We talk about sapta dhatu in the body. Sapta dhatu means the 7 constituents in the body. So he is now describing the seven say dhatus or constituents in the body. That is majja, asthi, medah. Majja, asthi, medah, palarakta charma. Majja means the marrow. If you know the bone, that bone in the middle of the bone, you take a big bone, in the middle of the bone there is some soft matter which is called marrow. So that is what is majja. Majja. Then asthi. Asthi is the bone. Then medaha. Medaha means fat. Majja, asthi, medaha. Pala. Pala means the flesh. Flesh as distinguished from fat. Then pala. Rakta is blood. Charma is the outer skin. Tvak. Tvak is the inner skin. In fact, in the skin itself, I don't know why they have made two differences. Charma and tvak. Charma means, say, the outer skin which is rough. Tvak is slightly smoother skin which is an inner layer of that skin. Tvagahvayehi. Ahvayehi means that those which are called as So by those which are called as Tvagahvaya. Ahvaya means that which is called as Ahvaya. Ahvayaihi. By these things which are called the Sapta Dhatus. The seven constituents. Tvagahvayaihi, Dhatubhihi. So these are seven dhatus. They are the seven constituents. Dhatu actually means that which enables you to stay. Dharane, isn't it? That which holds. That we dhru dhatu, isn't it? That is that which enables you to stand. That which enables you to be stable. So dhatubhihi, yebhihi dhatubhihi. Yebhihi means by these constituents. Anvitam means that is associated with all these seven things. Anvitam. Then, not these are the seven constituents, basic constituents. With these seven constituents, various limbs and minor limbs, major limbs and minor limbs, they are all being formed in this particular, from these constituents only. Padoru vaksho bhuja prushta mastakaihi. Pada is feet. Uru, pada plus uru is padoru. Uru means thigh. Padoru, vaksha means the chest. Vaksha, bhuja the shoulders. Bhuja, prushta is the rear side, back or rear side. Prushta, mastaka is the head. Mastakanyastabhara, we heard earlier. Mastakanyastabhara is the burden on the head. So prushta mastakaihi, angaihi upangaihi. Anga means body, limbs. Upanga means some minor limbs like fingers. Hand, if you take it as a major limb, my fingers and all these small bones, etc., they are all the upangas. Upangaihi, upayuktam etat. Upayuktam, it is something which is an assemblage of all these things. Upayuktam etat. It is associated, it is consisting of all these major and minor limbs, and the core dhatu, the core principles or constituents are these seven constituents in all these things. Then is further continuing the same, say, Sthola Sharira. Aham mameti prathitam shariram mohaspadam sthulamiti riyate budhaihi. We'll stop here. Up to this point is the Sthola Sharira. From the next shloka I have read half. Aham mameti prathitam shariram mohaspadam sthulamiti riyate budhaihi. Here, this particular body, idam shariram, aham mama iti prathitam. Prathitam means prakhyatam, well known. Prakhyatam, aham mama. So this body is something which is so well known by all people as, oh, I am this. This is mine. I am aham mama. Iti prathitam. It is so well known. It is so well taken for granted. Then mohaspadam. Moha plus aspadam. Aspadam is that which is the locus, that which is the basis for moha. That which is the locus or basis for moha or delusion. Because of this body-mind complex, we are associating ourselves with this. Because you may with great difficulty try to dissociate the body, but then it is very, very difficult to dissociate the mind, because we think that we are the mind. So that is the basic problem. So mohaspadam, it is the locus or ashraya or basis for this delusion. Sthulamiti iriyate budhaihi. Budhaihi means by wise people. Sthulam, sthula shariram. Sthulam means sthula sharira, the gross body. Iti iriyate. Iriyate means that which is told. Iriyate, it is told like that. It is called. You can say like that. Then prior to that, now he is describing the sukshma, bhutani. So we have to see that I think in this Viveka Chudamani class, I don't know whether I told, the 5 elements which we see in the universe or in the Prakriti. The 5 elements are Akasha, that is space, Vayu, air, Agni, that is fire, then Apaha, that is water, and Prithvi is earth. So these 5 are the major things. All things can be classified under these 5 categories. So how have these 5 come into existence? So for that, what Vedanta says was, in that supreme consciousness which was initially that total absolute pure consciousness, there is this manifesting power called Maya, and in this Maya it has got the 3 gunas, etc., that is Sattva, Rajas, Tamo guna, etc. From that only, this 5 elements in their elemental forms, or in their, we can call it an elemental form. Okay, in that elemental forms, these 5 elements have emerged. That is Prithvi, Apas, Teja, Vayu, Akasha. In the 5 elements, they were called Tanmatra. Tanmatra means that alone. I will tell you why it is called that alone. Tat plus matra. Tat matra is that, what is that? That alone. Tanmatra. Then why? Because those at that stage, they were not yet manifest. They were not yet manifest in the sense that they were not physically recognizable. They were not physically cognizable. So that is why they were called Sukshma Bhutani. Sukshma means something which is subtle, something which cannot be seen by the naked eye, something which cannot be cognized. So then what happened? There was a process called a Panchikaranam. All these 5 got together in a particular formula. So that formula, how our people have evolved, we do not know. But then they have given some formula. How they have come into the picture, we are not very sure. But then they have given a formula that suppose you are the element of air. You are the element of air in the subtle form. So that air component, half of it, suppose you make into two halves. So one half, it is with you. The remaining 4 people are there with you. They are also in the subtle form, isn't it? So suppose I am fire or something like that. So first half I will keep with me. The second half I make it into four pieces. The 4 pieces, one piece I give to you, the one piece to another fellow. There are, apart from me, there are 4 others, isn't it? I keep one with me and give 4 pieces to 4. One half with me, and the remaining half I make into 4 pieces. That is 1/8. 1/8 to all others. Similarly, you do with yourself. You keep your own half with you, 50% of air with you. Give the remaining to others 4. So like that, everyone has one half of his own, a half of his own, plus 4 1/8 of the other people. Those 4 1/8 become half. So this half plus half is 1. So that is how a small mathematical formula was given by, in that book called Panchikaranam. In that book Panchikaranam. Of course, Chandogya Upanishad talks about Trivrut Karanam. Trivrut Karanam means that is three things evolving. So, but then Trivrut Karanam is only an Upalakshanam for Panchikaranam, that has been told. Upalakshanam means when they say 3, it includes 5 also. So that is how that Panchikaranam has come into existence. Panchikaranam in English it is translated as some quintuplication, a very complicated word. Panchikaranam also is Sanskrit. Quintuplication probably is Latin or something. Anyway, so this Panchikaranam is the process where these 5 elements in their elemental form, in their subtle form, they come together and then they become gross elements. Once they become gross elements, they can be perceived by the senses. So these gross elements only are, the subtle elements in their subtle form, they become our indriyas and mind. Subtle elements become the indriyas and mind. The gross elements, they become the body, the bone, marrow, etc., etc. The gross elements, they become like that. So just as the universe is a product of subtle and gross, which is a continuous process which is going on, it is not as though in the beginning of creation these 5 elements were there, subtle elements, then they came together and then they became all these gross things, etc., etc. And now no more of subtle is there. It is not like that. It is a continuous process which is going on, because the moment a child is born, it is born with a mind, it is born with some senses, which means that subtle element aspect only is present here. So there is what is called a subtle aspect of an element and a gross aspect of an element. So the gross aspect of an element is being felt by us because our own 5 senses, they correspond to the 5 say elements outside the body. So that is why we say what is there in the microcosm is there in the macrocosm, or vice versa. What is there in the macrocosm is in the microcosm. So these 5 elements in their subtle forms, they are now being described. This shloka, 73rd shloka, the second half I am reading. Nabho nabhaswaddahanambu bhumayah sukshmani bhutani bhavanti tani. Nabho nabhasvat dahanambu bhumayah. So all the 5 elements are told in one line. Nabha means akasha, that is space. Nabhasvat is vayu. Nabhasvat is vayu, nabhaswan, vayu. Then Dahana, Dahana is the fire. Ambu means bhumi, water. Then Bhumi, Bhumihi. Bhumayaha is plural because we are including all the three, all the five. When you include, it becomes a samasa, and the last word takes the that case ending, not case ending, that singular plural, that plural ending. So Nabho Nabhasvad Dahanambu Bhumayaha, all the five elements, Sushmani Bhutani Bhavanti Tani. So in the beginning, those five Sushma Bhutas are there. Five, say this, five elements in their elemental form, that unmixed form, unmixed we can say, unmixed form. Then the next sloka, it continues. Parasparam Shair Militani Bhutva Sthulani cha Sthula Sharira Hetavaha. Up to that point is the Sthula Sharira. Sthulani cha Sthula Sharira Hetavaha. Parasparam Shair Militani Bhutva Sthulani cha Sthula Sharira Hetavaha. Matrastadiya Vishaya Bhavanti Shabdadayah Pancha Sukhaya Bhoktuhu. So here it says Parasparamshaihi Militani Bhutva. This Parasparamshaihi connects to the Sushmani Bhutani. The earlier line we saw the subtle elements. So the subtle elements, Parasparamshaihi Militani Bhutva, that is having mixed with Parasparam is mutual Amshaihi, having mixed with the parts of other elements. These Sushma subtle elements having mixed with the parts of other elements, then they become Sthulani Bhutva. Parasparamshaihi Militani Sthulani Bhutva. Sushmani Bhutani Sthulani Bhutva means Sushma Bhutas, they become Sthula Bhutas after having mixed with the parts of other, the Amsha are part of the other elements. Is it clear?
Yes.
So, Militani Bhutva Sthula Sharira Hetavaha. Sthula Sharira Hetavaha Bhavanti we have to presume. That is, they become the cause. Hetu means cause. Hetavaha is plural. They become the cause for this gross body. So this gross body is made of these five gross elements. Now the subtle body, he is going to say, subtle body is the product of the five subtle elements. So these five subtle elements and five gross elements are always there in the Prakriti. Just as the reflection of those five subtle elements is there in the form of mind and indriyas, and another Amsha of those, the same gross elements is there in the form of gross body. So Sthulani cha Sthula Sharira Hetavaha. They become the Hetu or cause for the subtle body. Then Matras Tadiyaha. Tadiyaha Matraha. That is, Matra, we have come across this word in Gita also. Matra, Miyante Anaya iti Matraha. Miyante, Miyate Anaya iti Matra. That is, that by which it is known. That is Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. These are the Vishayas, isn't it? So the Shabda is the Vishaya of Akasha. For Akasha, Shabda is the Vishaya. Then Sparsha, for Vayu, the Vishaya is Sparsha. So like that, they are known, they are measured, they are cognized. By these they are cognized. By Shabda you cognize Akasha. By Sparsha you cognize air. By taste you cognize water or Rasa, whatever it is. So then by Rupa, by you cognize Agni. So it is in that manner. So those which are cognized, they are the Miyante iti Matraha. Matras Tadiyaha Vishaya Bhavanti. They become the objects. They become the sense objects. Vishaya means Indriya Vishaya. They become the sense objects. This Vishaya also we have come across this word earlier. Vishaya, it comes from the root called Sheeing. Sheeing means to bind. Vishayaha Visheshena Sinvanti iti Vishayaha. That is, they strongly bind a person. That is, the moment I see something, I need it. I aspire for it. I want to go for it. So that is why they are called the Vishayaha. Vishayaha Visheshena Sinvanti. They bind us strongly. That is because the body also, we are also made of the same thing. So we are also made of the same thing, and an outside thing is there. So what is inside is seeking the outside. So that is the point. So Vishaya Bhavanti Shabdadayaha Pancha, Shabdadaya Pancha. That is, what are they? Shabdadaya, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. All these five. Bhoktuhu Sukhaya. Sukhaya Bhoktuhu. Bhoktuhu means of the person, of the enjoyer. Bhokta is the enjoyer. Who is the enjoyer here? All of us. Not as though one single not a single person, not one person is singled out here. All persons are the bhoktas. Enjoyer means the experiencer. The person who experiences all these five vishayas. Say they are all these shabda, the five says all these matras are there for the bhoga of this particular individual. Individual does not mean a human being alone. Starting from an ant, we have to go up to the biggest element, biggest say animal. So all these things they combine and they become the objects of these senses, and then they are the cause for the happiness of this experiencer. Bhoktuhu Sukhaya, the happiness of the experiencer. So that is how we have to see. Then Shankaracharya he says, if somebody is tied to them only, these Vishayas by nature or by definition, they are binding in nature. So you have to get out of their bondage. So that is what he says. Yayeshu mudha vishayeshu baddha rago rupashena sudurdamena ayanti niryantyadha urdhvamuchchaihi swakarmadutena javena nitaha. So those fools who are strongly tied by the bonds of these Vishayas, and that bondage is something which is very, very difficult to break off. So that is what he says, Sudurdamena. But what happens to them? They come and go. They go to higher place, they come to a lower place, they go to higher place, they come to a lower place, like that. They are being led by one duta, one messenger or a transporter called karma. Swakarma. By whatever action you do, you either go up, you come down. It is like you are working in the office. You work well and you get a promotion. You don't work well and you get a demotion. So it is like that. You get a pink slip or something like that. So it is swakarma dutena. So this karma or action or the particular, say, whatever action is chosen by the individual, this is responsible for the upward or downward movement of a person. So that is what he says. Ya yeshu mudhaha vishayeshu baddhaha. Ya is ye. Ye janaha. The ya is, it is ye. Ye janaha. Yahayav ye. Plural. Ye. Yeshu. Ye mudhaha. Ye has to connect to mudhaha. Ye mudhaha. Those fools who. That is what it means. Those fools who. Yeshu vishayeshu baddhaha. Who are caught or rather bound in these vishayas. Those fools who are bound in these indriyas. And what? Ragoru pashena. Uru pasha. Uru means great. Pasha means bond. Long rope. A rope which binds an animal is called a pasha. Pasha. Pashu is pashyate iti pashu, isn't it? That which is tied, which is bound. Pasha is that rope which ties a pashu, which ties an animal. Raga or attachment is the pasha. So what is the pasha? Pasha also is in us. It is not external. Pasha is again internal. So ragoru pashena. Raga is attachment. Attachment is the pasha, and that is sudurdamena pashena. Sudurdamam. Dama is, what is dama? Control. Durdama means difficult to control. Sudurdama means very difficult to control. Very difficult. So that root word, if you catch, you can get the meaning. So dama is to control. Durdama is difficult to control. Sudurdamena, very, very tough to restrain. That means tough to break off. That bondage is so strong, that raga, attachment is so strong, it is very, very difficult to break it. So that is the point here. Then those fools who are bound like that, what happens to them? Ayanti niryanti. Ayanti, come, niryanti, get out. Where? Adha urdhvam uchchaihi. Adha means down. Urdhvam, high. Uchchaihi, still higher. They just move up and down and up and down. How? Swakarma dutena javena nitaha. So nitaha means being led by. Neta, you know. Naya dhatu. Naya dhatu. Naya means to lead. Nayaka is one leader. Nitaha means those who are led. Nitaha. How? Javena nitaha. They are fast. They are led fast. They are led or transported fast. By whom? Swakarma dutena. This duta or a messenger called swakarma. So this messenger is asking you, just go there or you come here. Or you can take it as a transporter also. You can take it as a transporter. The fellow takes you, conducts you there, conducts you downwards, conducts you to some other loka, etc. Swakarma dutena javena nitaha. Because some of these shlokas, they are so memorable. Shankaracharya, in such prakarana granthas, you find a lot of poetry also. There are so many similes, so many metaphors. So there are such memorable lines. Ayanti niryanti yadha urdhvam uchchaihi swakarma dutena javena nitaha. So this they travel upward or downward. They are impelled by their own karma, and then that is what is that that is what is the system. That is what is that procedure. Then the next thing also is a very memorable shloka. It is talking about how say the hunters, for example, if they want to catch a deer live, if they want to kill, of course they can shoot an arrow. If somebody wants to catch a deer alive, what do? They say they play some flute, because deer is an animal which is very sensitive to sound, and then the moment it hears a sound, it just ears. It turns its ears towards that and then very carefully listens. And I don't know personally, but I am told these people who want to catch a deer, they play a flute, beautiful, some nice music, and then it is just standing there, say maybe immersed in music, we do not know, or just like that snake, before it you do some play music, and then the snake it keeps on its hood like that. So like that it stands still, and then somebody stealthily goes and then maybe throws a net and then catch them. So that is how people catch say a deer. So deer is caught by one particular sense called Shabda. Then some other Sparsha, Shabda Sparsha. Another example given for Sparsha is elephant. If they want to catch an elephant, of course they dig a pit and then trap and whatnot. But then that is not what is needed here. Sparsha Sukham has to be told. So what they do is they take a female elephant already which is domesticated, which is under control. They take a female elephant and then slowly entice the male elephant. Once you show the female elephant, it seems the elephant is very, very fond of the female. So it immediately comes. So then they catch hold of that elephant also and then they bring it. So like that elephant is caught because of the greed for Sparsha Sukha. The first one is Shabda Sukha. Deer is for Shabda Sukha. Then elephant is caught by Sparsha Sukha. Then another example given is Patanga. Patanga is a small insects which fly round the say lamp. Suppose there is a lamp, you hand a candle light somewhere, and then suppose slightly open space, not inside the house, slightly open space, where you find lot many insects. They just come round, they just wheel round and round and round and ultimately fall in that. So by that Rupa, they are attracted by the Rupa. They are attracted by the Rupa and then they just come, fly around and then they fall. Nobody has invited them. They themselves come and fall. So that is attracted by the Rupa. They are doing like that. That is one sense is bringing them doom. One sense called Shabda is bringing the doom for a deer. One sense called Sparsha is bringing the doom for elephant. One sense called Rupa is bringing the doom for an insect. In Urdu poetry, of course, this is used as a beautiful metaphor for a lover. Mai shamahu tu hai parwana, they say. That woman says, Mai shamahu, I am like a lamb. Tu hai parwana. Parwana is that small insect which wheels round that shama and then it ultimately falls. So, the Shama Parwana type of literature is very frequently seen in Urdu literature. So, this lover in the male is compared to a Parwana, that beetle which moves round and ultimately falls and dies. So, that is, anyway, so that he is attracted by the Rupa. Then Meena, then Rasa, then the fisherman puts some small bait and then leaves it in the water. Then fish, they are attracted by the rasa. They are attracted by the rasa, the taste, and then they come and then you are attracted by the taste and you have all fast foods. So something like that. So this meena or fish, they are also attracted by this fast food called mutton or some bait, and then they just come and cut. So that one sense of taste has brought them doom. Then the other one is bhrunga. Bhrunga means a bee. This bee is a particular type of bee, this Indian bee. There is a particular type of flower called champaka flower. So they are these bees, they are not exactly honey bee. There is some other type of say bee, which goes to which is fond of fragrance of flowers. So it moves from flower to flower like that. So by mistake it goes to that champaka flower, and it is so strong for it that it dies, it seems. It is so strong for that bee that it actually dies. So this greed for one particular sense, it has brought doom to that particular animal. So when one sense is able to, with one Vishaya and one sense, when all these things are getting trapped, what to talk of a human being who is having all the five senses? So that is what this shloka says. Shabdadibhih panchabhireva pancha panchattvamapu swagunena baddhaha kuranga matanga patanga meena bhrunga narah panchabhiranchitah kim. This last line, you see, and how beautiful it is. Kuranga matanga patanga meena bhrunga narah panchabhiranchitah kim. Shabdadibhih panchabhireva pancha. This pancha jantavah, he is telling about five jantus. Five, say, animals, let us say five jantus, five pranis. Shabdadibhi panchabhihi eva. This Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa. These, say, Vishayas, called Shabda, Sparsha, etc., etc. With one itself, by one itself, they are getting caught. Panchatvamapuhu swagunena baddhaha. By one guna only, baddhaha, bound. By just one characteristic, they are bound. And then Panchatvam apuhu. They are meeting their doom. Panchatvam apuhu. Panchatvam means what? When a person dies, what happens to the body? It merges in the elements, isn't it? It merges in the elements. Gross body merges in the elements. So Panchatvam is becoming five elements again. When the body disintegrates, or when the body is burnt, what happens? Nothing. Everything goes. Body, whatever water is there, it becomes vapor, and then it goes into the air, and then the remaining air portion anyway, then all other things, they get burnt and leaving some ashes, etc. So that is why it is Panchatvam. Panchatvam is merging in the five elements. So this Panchatvam apuhu. Apuhu means they attain, or rather they meet their doom, they meet their death. So in simple terms, they meet their death by mere one fault, or rather by mere one attraction, by one particular guna, by one particular characteristic. Which are these animals? Kuranga, Matanga. Kuranga is deer. Kuranga, Matanga is elephant. Then Patanga is insect. That insect or beetle, you can call it that beetle. Then Meena is fish. Meena, Bhrungaha. Bhrunga means what? That bee, a particular type of bee. Bhrungaha. So it stops there. Bhrungaha, Kuranga, Matanga, Patanga, Meena, Bhrungaha. So there is a comma there. Naraha, Panchabhiranchitaha. Kim? Naraha, a human being, Panchabhiranchitaha. He is equipped with all these five. So with one sense only, these things they got caught. What to talk of? Kim means Kim Vaktavyam. What to talk? Kaimuti Kanyaya, it is called. What to talk of a human being which is equipped with all these five? So that is what he says. Then he again says, in the next shloka also he says, this Vishaya means the sense object, is really very, very harmful. That is what he says. Sense object is really harmful. It is more poisonous than the poison of a black cobra. That is the next image he is giving. Doshena tivro vishayah krishna sarpa vishadapi visham nihanti bhoktaram drashtaram chakshushaapyayam. Doshena tivro vishayah. This vishaya or the sense object is something which is very, very tivraha. Doshena tivraha means it is very, very deadly. It is dosha here means actually danger. It is highly dangerous. Doshena tivraha. This vishaya is highly dangerous. How? Krishna sarpa vishadapi. Krishna sarpam, you know. Krishna means dark. Sarpa is serpent. Visha, poison. Krishna sarpa vishadapi. It is deadlier than the visha, the poison of a black cobra. Then how? He says, Visham nihanti bhoktaram. Visham, it can only harm you. If you look at a visham, it doesn't harm you. If you touch it also, it will not harm you. If it drink only, it will harm you. So Visham nihanti bhoktaram. Visham can harm only a bhokta. Only when you swallow it, it kills. But here, If you just see, you are caught. If you just see, you are tempted by that and you are caught. Drashtaram chakshusha ayam means ayam vishayah. Ayam refers to vishayah. Ayam vishayah chakshusha drashtaram api. You just by merely looking at it, you are attracted by something and you go into that and then get caught. So that is what it is. Drashtaram chakshusha. So this is, we have to connect it to what? Atmahano bhavati. Atmahano bhavanti. Atmahana is plural, isn't it? Atmaha bhavati. Atmaha is one who kills his own Atman. One who kills his own Atman, we come across the word in Gita. How does he kill his Atman? By not knowing himself. Because he is so bound by these indriyas that he is not able to connect to his own self. So that is how he becomes a loser of his own self, or in other words, he becomes the killer of his own self. Atmaha. He kills his own self in a sort of spiritual suicide, we can say. So that sort of thing is now discussed here. Then he talks about the person who will get out of that Vishaya Asha Pashad Vimuktah Bhavati. One who gets freed from that Vishaya Pasha. Let me see. Then responsible for upward. Okay. The next shloka says, Vishayasha Mahapashad Yo Vimuktas Sudustyajat Sayeva Kalpate Muktiyai Nanya Shatshastra Vedyapi. Vishayasha Mahapashat. So a person who gets freed from this Vishaya Asha Mahapashat. Vishaya is object, Asha is greed, Mahapasha means a great rope. So this great rope or great bondage called this Vishaya. From that, Yo Vimuktaha Bhavati. The person who becomes freed. And then for this Mahapasha there is another adjective, Sudustyajat. Mahapashat, Sudustyajat. Sudustyajat. Tyaja means to give up. Dustyaja means hard to give up, very difficult to give up, very difficult to get freed. Sudustyaja, very hard to break off, very difficult to break off. Sudustyaja. Dhatu is there, tyaja. Tyaja means to leave, isn't it? Sudustyajat, you just can't abandon it, you can't get rid of it. Very hard to get rid of it. Sudustyajat. So, but a person yo vimuktaha bhavati, a person who gets freed from that, sayeva kalpate muktiyai. Only he becomes fit for mukti. Muktiyai. Mukti is the word. Muktiyai is for mukti. He alone becomes fit, he alone becomes eligible, or he alone becomes qualified. Who? A person who gets freed from this desire, from this very strong rope called Vishayasha, desire for a sense object. Then Muktiyai, na anyaha, not the other one, Shatshastra Vedyapi, Shatshastra Vedi api, Vedi plus api, Vedyapi. Shatshastra Vedi means like Dvivedi, Trivedi, Chaturvedi. Dvivedi is a person who knows two Vedas, Trivedi, three Vedas, Chaturvedi, four Vedas. Here Shatshastra Vedi. He knows six, not Vedas, six Shastras. These six Shastras in olden days, we know that mainly they talk about four Shastras, that is Tarka, Vyakarana, Mimamsa and Vedanta. Tarka, Vyakarana, Mimamsa and Vedanta. The other two Shastras are, one is Alankara Shastra, otherwise called Sahitya Shastra. The other is Puranas. So that way, Shat Shastra Vedyapi, Shat Shastra Vedi. So he is a person who has read all the you can say Purana or Dharma Shastra, one and the same. You can call it Dharma Shastra. So all these things are the Shastras. So Shat Shastra Vedi api. He is not fit for moksha. You might have read all the Shastras, you might have read Tarka, Vyakarana, Mimamsa, etc., etc. But so long as we have not internalized that Vedanta, so long as we have not deliberated, we have not done that Nidhi Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam, so we are not fit for that. And not only that, it is not enough if you do Shravana Manana and Nididhyasana. Prior to that, all these things is there. Prior to that, this Chitta Shuddhi is very much there. Chitta Shuddhi, this Vishaya, this breaking off the bondage of these Vishayas, it has to be there. So then, the next shloka talks about a person. Again, is in a similar vein, he says, a person who is having some sort of temporary dejection, temporary vairagya. We come across people who have some temporary vairagya. Suppose something bad happens, somebody you see, maybe the death of a close friend or a relative, or you see something else, or you go to some satsang, you listen to some great Mahatma talking about some Vairagya, and then temporarily you are impressed by that. So he is talking about such a situation. So apata vairagyavato mumutshun bhavabdhiparam pratiyatu mudyatan ashagraho majjayate antarale nigruhya kanthe vinivartya vegat. So he is saying those people who want to go on to this path of to go beyond the ocean of samsara, those people with some temporary vairagya, they say, okay, now I will try to cross this ocean of samsara. Then what happens to them? There is what is called a crocodile in between. So you have gone into you have just thrown yourself you have jumped into the ocean, and then you want to flow, you want to cross. Then there is a asha graha, there is a crocodile called greed. That greed, it pulls you down and then it drowns you there in the water. So that is what he says, asha graha. Then apata, we will see the words, apata vairagyavataha mumutshun. This is in plural. This is all in apata vairagyavataha. So the apata vairagyavan is the word. Apata means just temporarily coming. Apata, patadhatu, patati, just temporarily coming. Apata, it is something which is just coming temporarily. So apata vairagyavataha, for this apata vairagyavataha, apata is only, it is just coming down, rushing down, just descending. So that is what is the meaning. Apata vairagyavan, somebody who is having that vairagya in a temporary way. You have just gone to some say satsang, and then you become viragi. So that apata vairagyavataha mumutshun, so those people who are mumutshus, then bhavabdhiparam pratiyatu mudyatan, and then those who want to cross over, pratiyatum udyatan. What bhavabdhi param pratiyatum? Those who want to attain the other shore. Param means the other shore. Other shore of what? Bhavabdhi. Abdhi is ocean. Bhavabdhi is the ocean of this samsara. Ocean of this existence. Bhava means janma, or otherwise called samsara. So this ocean of samsara you want to cross over. Pratiyatum means what? To attain param pratiyatum. That is, you want to attain the shore of the other shore of the ocean of samsara. So those who are attempting on that, what happens to them? Asha graha. Graha means a crocodile. Graha, that which grabs you, that grubhanati is graha. That which catches you, that crocodile or alligator, whatever you say, that big crocodile, asha, crocodile called asha, that is greed. Asha graha majjayate antarale. Antarale means in between it intercepts you. You are trying to say cross the ocean. In between it intercepts you, catches you by the neck, it seems. Nigruhya kanthe nigruhya, by catching your throat. Kanthe nigruhya. Then vinivartya means what? It turns you back. It turns you back to this shore only. At least this crocodile is not eating away. Majjayate means it drowns. Majjayate actually means it drowns. It drowns. Vinivartya majjayate. It is accomplishing its task. Vinivartya, that is having deflected you back. You are going in this direction. So the crocodile has caught you, and then it has turned you back. It has turned you back, and not only turned you back, it is drowning the person. So majjayate means drowns. So it deflects him back, pulls him back. Vinivartya vegat vinivartya. Very fast it comes, and then this ashagraha, very fast it comes, it catches by the neck and then pulls the person down, pulls the person back and drowns him. So that is what he says. But then you should have a sword. You should have a sword, he says. When you are trying to cross that ocean of samsara, you should have a sword. What is that sword? Sword called vairagya. The proper vairagya. The earlier one was apata vairagya, that superficial vairagya, a temporary vairagya, not based on viveka. You see, the temporary vairagya is something which is not based on viveka, some sort of impulsive action. Just temporarily it is induced in a person. Temporary something like a temporary anesthesia type of thing, some small anesthesia given for a 5 minutes. So he is like that. So it is not based on proper viveka. So but then somebody who has this vairagya, strong vairagya based on viveka, so that acts like a sword to cut off or to finish off that crocodile. So that is what he says. Vishayakhya graho yena suviraktyasina hatah sagacchati bhavam bodhehe param pratyuha varjitah. Vishayakhya graha. Graha is crocodile. Vishayakhya, the crocodile called sense object. Vishayakhya, the crocodile called sense object. Yena, by whom? Suviraktyasina hatah. Suviraktyasina. Virakti plus asi. It becomes suviraktyasina. Virakti is same thing as vairagyam. Virakti. Virakti. Rakti means attachment. Virakti is detachment. Virakti is vairagya. So suvirakti plus asi. Asi means a sword. Suviraktyasina, by the sword called vairagya. Hataha. Hataha means it is killed. What is killed? That graha, that crocodile. Then such person, sagacchati bhavam bodhe param. Bhavam bodhe. There are two aspirates there. Bhavam bodhe. That is sagacchati bhavam bodhe param. That is very strongly he is emphasizing. He goes beyond that. He goes to the other shore of this bhavam bodhi. That is this ocean of samsara. Pratyuha varjitah, that is without any sort of difficulties, without any sort of obstacles. Pratyuha means obstacle. Pratyuha varjitah means devoid of any obstacles. So this asha was the obstacle. This asha graha, the attachment for objects was the crocodile which was catching you in between. So now that you have got proper vairagya and now that you have properly killed that say crocodile, without any obstacle, you are reaching the other shore of the say ocean of samsara. Pratyuha varjitah. Then, here of course, our Swamiji quotes one beautiful shloka, Chandrasekhara Bharati Swami, talking about how this Vishaya is so, powerful. These Vishayas are so powerful that a person, even on the deathbed, he still wants to count what is his bank balance. A person is on the deathbed, but still he wants to count what is his bank balance and then how much money somebody else owes him and then all these things. Vishaya Asha doesn't leave a person even on the deathbed. So for that he gives a beautiful example. He quotes rather. He is quoting a shloka, well-known shloka. Yatha vyalagalasthophi bhekaha damshan apekshate. So he says, that is, a frog caught by a snake. The frog is almost entering the mouth of the snake. But still, the frog is seeing one small moth in front of it. And then the frog is throwing its tongue. It throws its tongue, isn't it? If it wants to catch some insect, it throws its tongue. It throws its tongue and then tries to catch it. So, but already the snake is with its open mouth, it is approaching. Instead of escaping, it is still trying to catch. So that is the example given. Yatha vyalagalasthophi. It is already almost in the mouth of this vyala. Vyala means a huge serpent. Bhekaha damshan apekshate. Bheka is a frog. Damshan apekshate. It tries to catch one small insect there. So similarly, tatha kalahina grastaha. Kalahina. This snake called time. This snake called time is trying to devour us. This snake called time is trying to devour us. But still, lokaha bhogan ashashvatan apekshate. Lokaha bhogan ashashvatan. Everybody. Lokaha means the whole world or everyone. Bhogan apekshate. Bhogan ashashvatan. So all these impermanent bhogas, the people are after that. So that is what is a shloka which is quoted by Swami, that Chandrasekhara Bharati under that commentary. Then the second shloka also, the next shloka also is talking about a person who will listen to the teacher, Hita Sujana Guru Uktya, who will listen to the teacher and then who will also use his own intelligence, and then he will cross over the ocean of samsara. So he is talking about that person in this next shloka, that is 81st shloka. Vishama vishayamargairgacchato nachya buddhehe प्रतिपदम अभियातो मृत्युरप्येष विद्धि हित सुजन गुरुक्त्या गच्छत स्वस्य युक्त्या प्रभवति फल सिद्धि सत्यमित्येव विद्धि. So this is another long shloka. It says Vishama vishayamargair gachatah anachya buddhehe. So for a person who is on this anachya buddhehe means a person of impure mind. You have the word Acha. Acha is in Hindi. Acha means good, isn't it? Acha is actually a Sanskrit word. Acha buddhi is good buddhi. Anacha buddhi means impure buddhi. That is a person who is after all these sense pleasures. That is anacha buddhi, who has not got over, say, the desire for sensual pleasures. A person who has not yet developed this vairagya which is needed for, say, this pursuit. Spiritual pursuit. Anachya buddhehe is in Shashti Ekavachanam. For a person who is of impure mind, and then who vishayamargair gachatah. Vishama means uneven. Sama means equal. Sama means even. Vishama is uneven. That is fraught with so many problems, fraught with so many difficulties. There are so many ups and downs in life. So that is it. Vishama, Vishayamargaihi. Vishayamarga, this path of all these obstacles, it is Vishama. Sometimes you may get, sometimes you may not get, sometimes you get, say, dejected. So there are so many things, failures and successes and whatnot. So this Margaihi Gacchataha. Gacchataha means for a person who is going. Gacchataha is again is what? Shashti Ekavachanam for Gachan. Vishama Vishayamargair Gachan is the word. Gacchataha is for the person who is traveling like that. And for a person of impure mind, then Pratipadam Abhiyataha, at every step, Pratipadam, Abhiyataha again is in Shashti Ekavachanam. Abhiyataha is a person who is moving like that. At every step, Mrutyurapi Yesha Vidhi. Every step he is encountering death. At every step he is facing death. Mrutyurapi Yesha Vidhi. Because Mrutyu in what sense? Ajnanam vai Mrutyu, isn't it? This Ajnanam, this ignorance itself is Mrutyu. So he is not actually dying at every step, but Mrityu is in a metaphorical sense. That is, he is going away and away from his self-realization. So that going away and away from self-realization is Mrityu only, because every time he is born, every time he dies. So Janma, Mrityu cycle continues forever and forever. So in that sense, that is Mrityu. So a person of impure mind who is moving on the path of this, Vishaya Marga, moving on the path of these desires, and such a person, at every step he is encountering death, because at every step he is moving away and away from self-realization. But on the other hand, what happens to the other person? Hita sujana guruktya gacchataha. So a person who is moving with a different equipment. What is that? Hita sujana guruktya. Hita, somebody who is a well-wisher. Hitaha is a well-wisher. Then Sujana, a good person. Not only a well-wisher and a good person. Guru, Ktya. Guru is also a learned man. That is a sort of friend, philosopher and guide, all put together. Hita, Sujana, Guru, Ktya. A person who is a well-wisher, a good person and a great learned person. Guru, Uktya. Uktya means what? By the advice, by the counsel of, by the counsel of such person, Gacchataha. Gacchataha means for a person who is moving with that equipment. So, and also Swasya Yuktya. He is doing this Mananam Nididhyasana. That is what is meant by Swasya Yuktya. Not only what the teacher says, he is also doing Shravana Yuktivir Anuchintanam Mananam, isn't it? So by using his own logic, he is using his own mind, and also he has taken the advice of the teacher using his own mind. So that is it. Then Prabhavati Phalasiddhihi Satyamityeva Vidhi. That Phalasiddhihi Bhavati. That is, Phalasiddhi means what? Attainment of the object, attainment of the fruit. Bhavati. It is assured. Prabhavati. Always, it definitely happens. Satyamityeva. It is absolutely true. He will surely attain the fruit. So of course, for the second line here, there is some Pathantaram. What does your book read? Pratipadam abhiya, instead of abhiyata in my book, it says abhighata. Abhighato, isn't it?
Yes.
So that Pathantaram seems to be there in Shrungeri edition.
Yeah.
Pratipadam abhighataha. Abhighataha means obstacle. That seems to be better actually. Pratipadam abhighataha. Abhighataha means at every step there is an obstacle. Then mrutyurapyesha siddhaha it says. Instead of mrutyurapyesha vidhi. Vidhi means you know. Mrutyurapyesha siddhaha means that death is also very much, it is very much ready for him. So that particular edition seems to be, that particular Pathantaram seems to be better, but it doesn't matter much. So here what he says is, the person who follows the instruction of the kind, wise teacher, and with the use of his own brain, with the use of his own yukti, he becomes successful and he will achieve the goal. So that is what it means. Then in the next question or next shloka also he says the same thing. Again the teacher gives a very strong advice. Like a poison, you give up all this desire for the sense objects. So that is the next shloka. Mokshasya kangsha yadi vaitava asti tyajati durad vishayan visham yatha piyushavat tosha dayat shamarjava prashanti dantir bhajanithyamadarat. Very nice construction. We have to break it. Mokshasya kansha yadi vaitava asti. Tava means to you. Yadi mokshasya kansha asti chet. If you have the desire for moksha, if you have the desire for liberation, yadi tava, if for you this moksha kansha, mokshasya vaikansha, that is of moksha alone, if you have the desire for moksha alone, that vai is avadharanartham. Avadharana means that is very to confirming. Mokshasya vai, of moksha alone, yadi kshama kansha vartate. If you have desire for that moksha alone, then what should you do? Tyaja atidurat, very distantly, atidurat, keep them away, far away. Tyaja atidurat, keep them far away, leave them far away. What? Vishayan, visham yatha, these sense objects. Like poison, you throw them away. Maybe by mistake you may just take it with food somewhere, sometime. If they are there with you, by sheer mistake you may take them. So like that, dura, you throw them away, keep them very far away. Piyushavat tosha, then you throw away the sense objects like visham. Then like piyusha means amrutam, like nectar, you have to take these things. What? Piyushavat, like a nectar, you have to take these things. Tosha means santosha. Santosha means contentment. First of all, you should not be greedy, you should be contented with what is there, contentment. Daya is compassion. Tosha, daya, shama is forgiveness. Then arjavam is truthfulness. If you see, all these things are mentioned in sattva guna, sattvika person, the characteristics of sattva guna in Bhagavad Gita. All these things, ahimsa, satyam, akrodha, kshanti, arjavam, etc. All these things are told to be characteristics of a person of sattva guna. So here the same things are mentioned. Tosha, daya, kindness, shama, that is forgiveness, arjavam, straightforwardness, straight behavior. Then prashanti means in a sort of inner tranquility, without any sort of vikshepa, without any sort of tossing about. Prasada buddhi, that is prasada, prasanna, something, it is coming next. Then prashanti. Then danti means restraint of senses, dama, from the same word like shanti, it is another word called danti. Then bhaja means you take to, you adopt, you take to. Bhaja means to seek, not seeking, you adopt, you take to, so that is it. Bhaja, prashanta, dantihi, bhaja, dantihi, all these collectively plural. Piyushavat, tosha, daya, kshamarjava, prashanti, dantihi. So that is a collective plural. That is plural. Dantihi, bhaja, you adopt them, you follow that. Bhaja, nityam, adarat, with great regard, with great sincerity. Adaram we know, adarat, nityam, always. Prashanti dantir bhaja nityam adarat. Adarat means with great sincerity, with great regard, you follow them. We will continue in the next class. In the next class, of course, the subject is the same subject he is telling in a different way. That is, this attachment to body, the Acharya is denouncing that attachment to body. We will continue in the next class. Harihi Om Tat Sat.